So today we are going to be speaking about short-term financial goals. Now, for those of us who are not aware of what exactly that is, could you please let us know what are short-term financial goals?
All right. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Grace Dube, and as Davia has already mentioned, we're going to be talking about short-term goals. So short-term goals, the ones that we're talking about today, is saving. It's really for the financial ones, saving for your financial goals that are between 1 year and 2 years. Okay, so between 1 year and 2 years, that's the short term that we are looking at, because when you're looking at anything beyond that, we'll be looking at long-term goals. So to just be simple and just straight to the point, is for the short-term goal that within 1 year and 2 years.
Okay, thank you so very much. So what are the advantages and also the disadvantages of having short-term financial goals?
So having short-term financial goals makes it easy, like they are easier to achieve, so that usually will give you also motivation. When you set a goal and you actually are able to see it achieved in a short space of time, that gives you motivation and confidence that you can achieve more, right? And another advantage of it would be like it gives you that immediate gratification as well, right? To say, okay, right away, unlike the long-term goals that you have to wait at a later time to see them achieved, the short-term goal will give you that instant gratification. We are living in a world whereby people want things to happen now, right now, please me now, give me the answer now, give me the result now, the microwave situation kind of deal, right?
I was about to say that.
Yeah, so like it actually gives you that immediate gratification because you can see it achieved in a short space of time. And another thing about the short-term goals is also like they are flexible, right? They are flexible and you can change them around. You can adjust as needed as well, right? Some of the disadvantages though may include like limited impact, right? Because you can find that some people will then focus just on the short-term goals, but then forget their future, right? So in a over, like they might just be focusing on that small financial goal, but other things are happening around them. So they might become narrow-visioned or all of a sudden and just focusing on that single goal and forget other goals that need to be achieved and also the future, right? And the other thing is like, they may actually, in the same way, like planning for their future too, right? Because they'll just be focused on the immediate, the now. I'm just going to be living in the now. But guess what? There's a future that if they don't plan for it, they're going to get there and, they might face challenges. Yeah. And we spoke about some of those challenges for lack of planning, like, for example, for your retirement in the other sessions that we have. So if you miss those sessions, make sure you go back to those sessions and just have a look at them as well. Another disadvantage is sometimes there can be a tendency of overspending, right? Because if they're just focusing on that short-term goal in the now, right, they may overspend on this one, right? But guess what? They might be forgetting that they have other goals that they have to also spend, like pay for, exactly, and other things that will need to be planned for as well. So those are some of the like the advantages and disadvantages for the short-term goals. But nonetheless, they are important and they have a place in our financial life. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh my goodness. So those are some pretty interesting advantages and disadvantages, because you do not want to lose focus, especially on those long-term goals that you need to continue pouring into, because you're focusing on the now, as you spoke about the microwave era, because we do love instant gratification, oh yeah, I've successfully done this, and that is so true. We cannot lose focus on all the goals, so it's great to have a plan so that none of them get left behind. Okay, now, so what might be some examples of some short-term financial goals?
Okay, so some of the short-term financial goals may include if you want to save for your down payment, maybe towards the down payment for your house, that can be short-term goal. So that can be structured in a way to say, okay, I want to save about 5,000 or maybe say 10,000 within for a down payment for a house within 2 years, right? That would be your short-term goal for that, right? And also you could say, I would like to pay off 10,000 towards my credit card within a year. That's also another short-term goal, right? Another one could be maybe I would want to put aside and save about 3,000 towards purchasing my own car, right? Within a year, right? That can be a goal. And also, if for those that love to go on a vacation and you want to make sure that you are using your own like cash or maybe your own funds without having to go into debt for that fund, you can also say, okay, I'm gonna save for my vacation so I'll save maybe 2,000 within a year so that I can go for vacation. So that's another example of a financial goal. So in this one, like let's talk about it and just put it a little bit practical, right? Do you yourself have maybe a short-term financial goal that you can think of or that you've been thinking about or that you've been working on that we can talk about that you don't mind sharing with our live audience here?
Oh, sure. Well, definitely. I do have a short-term goal is for me to purchase a laptop. So that is what I'm working towards now. And so on a monthly basis, I do put that as a stipend so that I can have a laptop within the next 3 to 5 months. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so the laptop that you are looking to get, how much roughly is it? I know like it's different in your country. Yeah. So, but in your like, how much roughly would that be?
So it's around 60 to 70,000 Jamaican dollars.
Okay, 60 to 70,000 Jamaican dollars. Okay.
Right.
All right. So, and you want to purchase it within 3 or 4 months, right?
Right.
Yeah. Right. So if we are to say, just right there, and we say, let's just say 70,000,
okay,
right? Divided by 3 months, right? So that would be like you'll be saving about 23,333 a month, roughly, right? Or you can round it up any way you want, right? So that in itself might be it's like if it was someone else, sometimes they might find it challenging and intimidating, but it's doable, right? Because you can also break it down further to weekly or bi-weekly, right? Most of the people, I don't know, you guys, are you paid weekly or bi-weekly over there?
I am actually paid monthly.
Monthly? Okay. Okay. So this would be great then. So you'll be looking at about roughly 23,000 per month that you just be setting aside, and you guarantee yourself to have your lovely laptop.
You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? And maybe someone say out there, for example, let's say they are looking to get a bike, right? A mountain bike. We're getting into summer, but okay, maybe for those that like through like summer and winter biking kind of do. Let's say they want to get a mountain bike, and they want to get that in 10 months. And I don't know how much they cost, but to keep it simple and the math simple, let's just say it costs about 1,000 as well, right? To 1,000 Canadian dollars, let's say, to purchase a mountain bike, right? That is just an example. So if they have 10 months to go, and it costs 1,000, then we are looking at them saving at least $100 per month, right? Yeah, and like many other factors come to being to say, okay, look at your current budget as well, right? Does it even have room in the now, right? like so because those are some of the considerations that you can also have to factor in, right? If it has room, then it's easy to then be able to set aside right away. If there's no room currently, then you might need to think about creating room for it. If that bike is important to you, first of all, right? But sometimes you may think, oh, maybe I don't really need the bike. You know, I have other modes of transport that are okay. But if you really need it, right, you can then create room in your budget to say, okay, what can I prioritize, or what can I move around that is not a need in my current budget, right, that I can make room for this new goal that I have, right? So those are some of the things that, or the ways that people can be able to incorporate new goals into their current budget. We spoke about budgeting in another session. So if that is a new word or something that is a challenge for you to deal with, just look at one of the videos that we did. We kind of spoke in and explained more about budgeting. And also, if you didn't get that, you can go to that live so that you can learn more about budgeting. So in the same way, make sure that your goals are SMART. So they should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. You know, yeah, because you can set a goal that is not relevant to you, or you don't feel like it's important to you, right? There should be some importance that is attached to the goals that you are setting, and you can just set it without a timeline, right? Then it will just be something that is just a dream that is not unachievable and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And many people, you tend to find that there's a lot that they want to do, but they always start saying, oh, but I don't have the money. I don't have, the means. I don't have money for that. Sometimes it's not about not having money. It's just about not prioritizing it as a goal in your budget, right? Because if it's important to you, you're going to prioritize it as well in your budget.
A way to make it a reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So
for example, if I could just put this in here, for example, if you're the kind of person who, let's not say you eat out, because maybe, you won't eat out every single week, but let's say, you always treat yourself to ice cream twice a week, or how many cups of coffee on a weekly basis, you can cut it down. And then those little bits and pieces of monies, you would put it towards your goal, and you'd be surprised, how much that would add up to.
Oh, yeah. Because now, if it's you would know that that is a new goal that is important to me, and I have to make room for it. And sometimes it's not about maybe totally restricting yourself, right? So maybe if you were getting buying 2 cups of coffee, maybe at Starbucks every day, right? Maybe you buy 1, and then it's kind of to free up that room, right? Or maybe if you were going to the movie house every week, right? Maybe you say, okay, every other week, right? So you're still enjoying the things. Yeah, we're not trying to say, okay, now that you have this financial goal, stop your life totally, kind of deal. You can just prioritize, things and work things around so that you are still living your life, right? But at the same time, making room for these short-term financial goals. We are going to talk about long-term financial goals. We didn't want to overwhelm you today. We're going to talk about long-term financial goals next month. So make sure that you tune in to catch us on that discussion.
Indeed. Now, what are some frequently asked questions when persons need to do or they need to create a short-term financial goal? What are some of the queries that they normally have about that?
Okay. So, most of the people, they will have challenges to say, okay, I don't even know where to start from, right? Or I don't have any room, I'm pinched, right? And I think we already kind of answered part of it to say, it's just that you haven't prioritized it as a goal yet, right? If it's important to you, you have room for it, right? And of course, sometimes, if like all your income that you currently, have are going to your needs, right? And there is really, really no room for it. If it's really important to you, you're going to find means to create more income, right? And when you create that income, make sure you prioritize that goal within that when that new income comes as well. Because if you don't prioritize that goal, then you won't make room. So like the starting point will also be like prioritizing it as a goal in your budget, right? And that is assuming that they are also making a budget. If they are not, then consider budgeting as part of your lifestyle as well. Yeah.
Okay, and do you think that the short-term financial goals, it will look different for persons who are of different age ranges?
Of course, they'll really differ, right? Because someone, say, for example, that is young and maybe in school, right? Mostly maybe their focus is maybe, oh, okay, I'm going to start school in maybe 3 months, right? And I'm going to need some textbooks, right? So I'm going to have to prioritize something in my budget, like this as a goal in my budget, so that in 3 months, I'm able to purchase these textbooks, right? So that might be something that is important to them, right? And for somebody that is a little bit older, right, can say, okay, to me, I say, for example, maybe a family person, right? I say, okay, having an emergency fund will be a priority to me, right? Because I don't know what's going to happen, and I have a family to take care of. So if something is to just happen that is going to be, that is not currently budgeted for, you'd want to have some means to take care of that without having to disrupt all other financial goals that you have. So to them, they can find maybe having an emergency fund as their goal might be like what they want to focus on, ensure that they have that. And maybe you can find other people in different walks of life. Mm-hmm. They have different varying goals, right? Depending on where they are at and what is important to them, right? And just like you and me, right? We don't love the same things, right? And so my priorities are going to definitely be different from yours, right? And doesn't make my priorities bad or better than yours, because I'm me and you are you. Mm-hmm. So whatever is good for you is good for you, and whatever is good for me is good for me. Because you get to find there are some people out there, they smoke as part of their life, right? Mm-hmm. I may consider smoking as a bad habit, and like, why would you even want to make it a goal to make sure that smoking is in your budget? But to them, it's important to them because, like, maybe they do it casually. Like, I don't promote smoking. I don't like smoking myself, but to them, it might be important to them. So they'll say, okay, I want to make sure I make room in my budget for smoking budget, right? And I won't judge them, because it's their life, right? Just the same way someone would say, I will budget for a bus pass because I don't like to be driving. I want to save gas, and all that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So they might say that, and whilst other person will say, no, I don't like taking the bus whatsoever. Right. I will do whatever in my means to make sure that I have gas money each month, right? So that it depends on who you are and what your values are and what your goals are and what is important to you. Yeah. So definitely across the board, whether you're young, you're old, we have varying goals, and it depends on your lifestyle as well.
Right. Very interesting. And you said something about an emergency fund. I'd like for us to just touch on that. Now, of course, it seems self-explanatory what an emergency fund is. So could you just please explain to us, like, what is a recommended portion of our salary that we do put towards an emergency fund? And you could also define an emergency fund for us in case there's anyone who hasn't really heard about it, which I highly doubt. You could go ahead and do that for us.
Absolutely. Okay, so emergency fund is what it is. Like any emergency that, like, life happens around us at any time, right? And there are some of those things that happen that have a financial impact attached to it, right? So if we are not prepared financially, right,
Yeah.
it can affect us. And depending on where you are at in your financial life, it can actually be devastating. And sometimes it can be that breaking point between you going into poverty or like changing your life forever kind of deal, right? So having an emergency fund will actually be like a cushion when something drastic happens that affects your financial life, right? So we advocate for you to save a portion. Sometimes we say, like, sometimes they say it's 10%, but it depends on how much you are earning anyways, right? But the goal is to save between 3 to 6 months, worth of your expenses, right? So that you can have that cushion. So depending on how you want to prioritize it within your monthly budget and by your salary, because if your monthly expenses are like 2,000, right? And maybe you only have like an extra 100 per month, right? Then it might have to stretch a little bit longer for you to build that emergency fund. But it is equally important, and like especially for things like, for example, you have a car breakdown, right? And you have to pay for that, right?
Yeah.
It's coming out of your pocket, and if you hadn't budgeted for it, right, it's gonna take away from something else that you wanted to prioritize. And if driving is part of your job or a part of the way you generate your income, you would make sure that you want to prioritize fixing that car, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
non-negotiable.
right? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, that's non-negotiable.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So you would make room. So when you make room, if it wasn't in your budget already, right, then sometimes people end up going into debt, or people end up canceling certain financial plans that they were working hard on over years, right? Just because this sudden devastation to their finances has just happened, right? Or for example, somebody might lose their job, right? And within that period where you lose your job and finding another job, the bills don't stop coming, right? The bills will stop coming, or like maybe the rent or the mortgage, the bank won't say, oh, we are going to give you a break, you don't pay the line, don't worry about the mortgage, don't worry about, putting food at the table. No, life doesn't happen like that.
We wait till we get another job and then we resume all these. All right? No.
No, and you don't even know how long that stretch is going to be between you losing that job and finding another one. So in between, right, we need to take care of it financially, right? So that's where that emergency fund will come into play. For those people that maybe hate the word emergency fund, call it an opportunity fund if you want, right? That's more comfortable for you. Call it an opportunity fund, right? So for those opportunities that you would want to create to actually, so that you don't have to disrupt other plans, right? So make sure that you prioritize an emergency fund in your budget if you haven't done so. That is really important. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And thank you so very much for that amazing explanation. And, are there any other short-term financial goals that we are encouraged to have, especially when you're younger?
Okay. So, like the short term, when you are younger, you know what? Now this is totally like based on what that person finds is valuable to them and what is important to them, right? So, and depending on where they are at in their life, right? And during that time, right, especially when you are young, right, we'd also want you to also focus on some long-term goals, not just short-term goals, which will include starting your retirement savings when you are younger, right, because you have more time to go and it won't cost you so much to start putting aside that much, right? So that may be one of the things a younger person, most of the times, people, when they are young, they're not thinking about retirement, right? They are not,
Yeah.
right? They're all thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have
I would
fun,
think
I'm gonna go
about
to
making a
vacations.
family or
Yeah,
so. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. They think about having fun with friends, family, and all that kind of stuff. But life is happening all around us, and for sure they're going to go older, right? So if they want to secure their future, they might need to also consider some future long-term goals as well,
Yeah.
including like saving for the retirement. And if they also want to have a house down the line, that will be another goal that they may need to prioritize as well.
For sure. Okay, thank you so very much. And before we close here, are there any other tips about long-term financial goals that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I can say if you want to know more about long-term goals, make sure you tune in next month because we are going to be talking more about those long-term goals,
Right.
right? So make sure you tune in. If you're curious, tune in and join us there. And what I can leave you guys with is, I encourage you, if you're not doing so at the moment, I encourage you to work with a financial advisor, unless if you're financially literate and savvy yourself, but if there are many things that you have been having challenges with and you don't know, there are many people out there, they are willing and ready to help you. So you don't need to stress out or do it by yourself. Make sure you reach out to a financial advisor, a trusted financial advisor, and they can work with you for all your financial needs and your goals as well.
Right. And as a qualified financial advisor yourself, where can we find you? How could we reach out and get in contact with you to answer all our burning questions?
All right, you can get me. I'm here on Instagram. Also, you can also find me on Facebook, Grace Dube-Chikowore. So you can find me there, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. So make sure you connect with me and follow me. Feel free. My inboxes are open. Feel free to inbox me and let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to send them my way. As soon as I get to it, I will be able to respond to you. And yeah, let's connect. And if you find that there's someone out there, your friend, your family member, that is looking for help or is struggling with their finances, right? Just feel free to refer them to me, and I'll be happy to help them as well.
Well, thank you so very much, Grace. It has been a pleasure talking to you. You're so knowledgeable about these topics. It is just amazing. Blows my mind every single time. And before we go, let us shout out everyone who joined this Money Mindfulness Live tonight. Let's go. We had 4 Beyond Seasons. We had Diva Oakley, Her Mover is at her movie. We have Grace herself. We have I Am Ewart. We have Stokely74 who joined. Marva Aferti. Amazing. Loving these names. We had Chopik Preppy. We had Just 87. I hope I'm saying that right. And F Chicks also joined us. And we are not going to forget Tusa, who also joined. Tusa05, who joined us just now. Thank you so much, everyone. And we hope that you had your questions answered. If you do have any questions, Grace just shared with us how we can reach out to her. Please do, so you can get all your questions answered. And I do hope that you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night. Thank you, Grace. See you again next one.
See you the next one.
See you.